we're going to check out some one-hit kill fighting games. I don't know why this kind of sprung on me. Maybe it's been all of the Dojo Masters influence of the, like, few hits, many exchanges, multiple round kind of structure. I don't know if that's what did it for me. But I need some of these one-hit kill fighters in my life, man. Like, I love combos in fighting games. Don't get me wrong. I am a bit of a combo junkie. But damn, it's nice to... That's not all fighting games are, right? So it's cool to check out some other games. I think, like, we can look at, like, Dive Kick as, like, the huge one-hit kill fighting game. But there's a whole bunch of different ways to do it and ways devs have done it. And so in the background here, we have these lovely little chiptunes, courtesy of Joe Dev, or Dev Joe. They have made Hyperfight, and Hyperfight is a one-hit kill pixel art fighting game. So we're going to hop into that. And then Sklash. Now, Sklash is another one that's been on my radar for a little bit. If y'all have heard of, like, One Strike or Two Strike, Sklash is like, in that kind of vein. And so I'm interested to see what they do. They have a cool, really cool art style. Online mode just got added, so it's worth checking out. Super AC, you bring up Martial Champion. That is a game that, yeah, it makes you invincible when you're in hit stun, so it's not a one-hit kill game, but combos are impossible, so it gives that exchange. And I think that's one way to do it, actually. We're going to talk about some of the different ways you can do one-hit kill fighting games, and that is one of them. You see a lot of the, like, martial arts sports-type games, a lot of Taekwondo fighting games, and those often use, like, point structures or knockdown structures in order to determine their winners, not, like, health bars. So it's more about the individual exchanges, right? And you see some of those, and then you see more of the, like, One Strike style, weapons-based one-hit fighters. We're going to take a look at some of them. Dive Kick for attack in the air. Down and attack. Stays between rounds. Ooh. Okay, that is super dope. There's a lot of love for MK. Oh, that makes me so happy.
For you to clock out. Would you like one? KO. Knock him out.
I don't know if you can. I don't know if you can get another time freeze off. Because if the kill happens instantly at round start, you're not going to have enough time to activate it. Oh, damn. This is... They can dodge at that point. Okay, so it's moot because they can dodge at that point, right? Okay. But yeah, this, at the very least. Yeah, but they'd be able to dodge. That's still really cool, though. I like that you're able to actually arrange that. Perfects in round one should win you the whole set. So a bunch of the characters, Mohast, actually, if you land their super, you will win the entire match, right? Which is like, that's it, you bet it, right? So, like, you can see when I use my super here, it uses those 2 pips. If I get hit, I lose my 2 pips. Like, I get those red back and a green pip back if I win the round. So, for characters who have instant win supers, instant match win supers, that, yeah, it's like, you bet on that, and you're like, if you mess up, you're gonna lose 2 pips of your 5. But if you land it, you might go from 2 to win, right? Yeah, you think it's a true combo, but only if you catch up then slide. And I think you're right, because catch up, slide puts them there. Oh, see, even that wasn't quite right. It has to be, like, right on top of them. Yeah. And so I'm not sure. Even then, they might have the ability to tech out, but possibly not. We'd have to double check. First to 2 with complications. That's legitimately, Andrew, that's one of the best ways to describe this game. For, like, first to 2 with complications. It might be first to 5, it might be first to 7, it might be more than that, depending on how you exchange your pips. But yeah, the idea of both it being one-hit kills, so you have this round tally that also acts as your, like, resources, as your meter, that's really cool. And then having the carryover between rounds, both for, like, positioning and for projectiles, really freaking cool. Like, yeah, right? And theoretically, if you keep messing up, it could last an infinite number of rounds. I don't think there's a time limit necessarily, so if there isn't, nothing's stopping you, right? You'd have to time it out in order for that. Because, yeah, there is this possibility of it just continuously ping-ponging. But no, I think there's a couple of things that they did in this game that have led to, right, like that stem from the one-hit kill nature that has led to things like this crossover between rounds, the thought of using your wins as a resource, right? I think those are like inherently intertwined in that decision to make it a one-hit kill fighter, right? And it's like, what kind of permutations do you get out of that becomes really interesting. And you see some crossover in design thought with other things, right? Like losing a round in BlazBlue. Everyone starts with a burst in BlazBlue. And then if you lose a round, you get access to a second burst. You can stack that over rounds, right? So if I don't use my burst in round 1 and I lose round 1, I have 2 bursts in round 2. That kind of system of tying your wins, or in that case your losses, to more resources is kind of interesting, right? So it's not that you need this connection of one-hit kill fighters to go down that path, but I definitely think it inspired it. Yeah, less one hit, more big, slow knockdowns, right? And that's kind of Bearsys, like I said, it acts in a very similar way, where you get this hit, it's a reset of situation within the same round, but it's about, right? It's not about what am I following up with, how much damage do I get off of this opening? It's that, hey, I got the opening, now it's a quick reset. Where do they reset to? Do they go right? Do they go left? Right? And that way it actually pulls a little bit from platform fighters and directional influence, and that bit of reading, right? Where no one individual kill is going to guarantee the round being over. You have to get them through the blast zone, right? And doing that means that you have this, right? This bit of directional influence comes into play. Damn it, I know. What do I'm lying here in my descriptions? It's not a one-hit kill, it's a one-hit knockdown. Blah. No, but they're all so closely intertwined. I really think that. This is really cool. I am glad I have checked this out, because there are definitely a few different ways that you can achieve the like one-hit fighter, right? We were just saying earlier on that dive kick, I think, is the one-hit fighter. It's like, if you're like the platonic ideal of a one-hit fighting game, I think ends up being dive kick, if only because it was one of the first most popular ones to really strike like the consciousness of the fighting game community. But going back beyond, like back past dive kick, there are a bunch of games. Bushido Blade has already been mentioned as a one-hit fighting game. There are a bunch of games that do one-hit kill mechanics, whether it be astral finishes in BlazBlue or the decapitation in, oh god, it was some old arcade game. I can't remember the name of it now. It was some, I'm not gonna say a Mortal Kombat knockoff. Time Killers. Dude, Super HC, you're like in my brain sometimes. Thank you. Time Killers is absolutely the game that I was thinking about. But it was an old 90s arcade game that had these like the super gross fatality style things thrown in there for the edginess of the 90s. But there was this like one hit kill mechanics, right? And so yeah, games like Time Killers, games like SNK Heroines has a unique finisher that you need to use. There's a bunch of different ways to do this. And the old martial arts fighting games, like even going back to stuff like the really old stuff like Karateka or Karate Champ and stuff like that, right? Those games have this kind of point-based sports-like martial arts formula to them. Hell, the Karate Kid had a versus mode that you could do like that, right? Yeah, right. And so yeah, Time Killers, it's not a true one-hit kill fighting game, but it has a method to do one-hit kills. Guilty Gear has a method to do one-hit kills, right? The old Guilty Gears. So there are... This is something that's been explored in a lot of games. To see games like Hyper Fight then say, okay, well, what is another way we can do this, right? And, I mean, immediately saying you can have things carry over between rounds. You can activate something on screen like a projectile. You can kill someone and they can wake up and that projectile is still there. That's really unique. Like, that kind of carryover stuff wouldn't necessarily come about unless you were thinking in terms of one-hit kill rounds, right? So you're saying, my round ends, what else can I do with it? Typically, you'd say your round ends, you reset, right? You might have the question of, do you have meter carryover and such? But, like, physical, like, attacks, aspects that are on the screen, that's a really interesting one that I think came out in part because of the one-hit kill mechanic, right? So, it's great seeing this. We've seen other games, other developers like ARF Games, decide to take the dive kick approach and then add in, right? It's no longer one hit kill because you have a health bar now, but you have limited health bar. Something like Fantasy Strike, where you have, 4 to maybe 10 pips of HP. You can take at most 10 hits before the round is over, likely less, right? And then Bearsis and Jump Joust, these are, and Stick Fight from ARF games, are games that use this system, and it's the dive kick hopping around. There's no walking on the ground. You have contextual attacks based on your jump. So in dive kick, you have like your jump button and your attack button, and you have one attack on the ground and you have one attack in the air, right? And this does it a little bit differently, where you have double jumps. So you can do an attack on the ground, you can jump and do an attack, you can double jump and do an attack, and that'll get you a third attack. So it's layered in more bits of complexity, right? But it's still the fundamentally no combos, individual hits are what matter. And, you know, Bearsis as well does something where your hits, there's no projectiles really, but if you hit someone, if I hit somebody, I'm still active, right? Which means that they get hit, they recover, they tech roll, whatever the case may be, and the round continues. There's no combo there, but it's a very quick exchange. And much like in Hyper Fight, where you have these like projectiles can carry over between rounds, you have this, my pressure carries over between rounds in Bearsis and in and in games like that, right? So I think that this is something that if you see developers look at this style of game and the one-hit kill mechanic, and it starts bringing about really interesting other tertiary mechanics that make these games really unique. So I love it. I love it. And I'm really excited to see how Splash handles it. There are other games, One Strike, Two Strike, Slice, Dice, and Rice is another one. Ki Resistance, or Ki Resonance, I believe, is another one on Steam that has a samurai-style not martial arts, but samurai-style weapon-based 1v1 fighting, does a one-hit kill type thing. So it's worth looking at these games and seeing what are the similarities. Are there some design similarities that pop up by virtue of the nature of the one-hit kill and the health bar? Do they share anything? How do they do things differently? I think this is really insightful in terms of looking at our games and how they develop. And it's really nice, right? So from your charge attack, you can dash or parry out of it, right? Oh, she might have more range on her parry, the way she moves forward. Oh, this is really interesting. Okay, I wonder what all of the, like, character specifics are. She can totally hold her charge attacks for longer, too. So I wonder, is she better off doing dash pummel neutral? No, not really. Nice. Yeah, definitely not for Susanoo. It feels like you can almost get a forward attack out and leave a very little gap with Jinya, but see if I can't break, right? Yeah, that's a way smaller gap that's being left there. So perhaps there's another character who has faster normals who could get a bit of a charge. We were talking about how Hyper Fight, because of the no blocking element, it makes you think, and like the single round element, it makes you think about the game in a different way, where you have to think about round to round, you have to think about Oki because there are no combos in different ways, right? So movement becomes more important. You can't block, so you have to dash in order to become invuln. You get a lot of similar things about this, right? Where it's like, yeah, there's no combos necessarily, but you have these distinct moves. So how do you layer them to create difficult situations for your opponent? Yeah, like, I see them charge, I dash in pummel strike, I can leave a very little gap there, and right? And they have to either dash react or parry react lest they get hit. Oh, but don't dash into the Hawamaru Slash. This is, I genuinely like this. Like, I really enjoy that a game is like, right, much like Hyper Fight, much like Bearsis, much like Stick Fighter from ARF games, right? These are games that start limiting various aspects, right? You might only be able to hop or jump, like in Dive Kick and Bearsis. You might not be able to jump at all, like in Arcus Chroma. And those changes genuinely change a lot of your design decisions down the road. So it's fascinating to see how different developers are approaching this and saying, okay, we can we can pull in from this. We have, in Hyper Fight, we have cross-round projectiles, which, frankly, I can't think of a game that's done that, right? Like, outside of a versus tag game, which has, like, incoming, right? But this, like, between round Oki is not something you see much outside of that. So bringing it into a game like Hyper Fight, which is a game that doesn't have blocking, but it does have really strong dash invuln moves, or like a dash that is just invulnerable, a really strong one, right? So how it leads you to creating these scenarios and playing these games in different ways and thinking about these games in different ways is super cool, right? I'm really glad that there are these folks out here doing these experiments. Splash is doing other really interesting things too, like with the story mode, like with the visual presentation. But I wonder how much of a variety there is within this mode. Like I said, one strike and two strike, as well as Splash, Ki Resonance, and Slice, Dice, and Rice. Those are like the handful of games that immediately come to mind when I think of like modern one-hit kill fighting games. And so it could be interesting looking at those in a little more depth and seeing how that choice to frame the game in that way leads to different and interesting interactions. So might have to dig a bit deeper into these ones.